Welcome back to part 8 of the Absolute Reason Mentorship Program with a focus on gender ideology. Today is part 8 and we will be going in deeper detail into what exactly the scale of man is and how it affects us as individuals within the construct of reality. Just as a recap and a little bit of orientation, remember that we are using Abigail Shrier's Hillsdale College lecture as a relativity to establish the foundation or the current baseline within the environment relatable to gender ideology. It was within Abigail's research for her book Irreversible Damage that she could separate 3 categories, or she could highlight 3 categories of the types of individuals who are affected by gender ideology. We have gone into the relationship that the individual builds within an environment. We have looked at the threefold nature of the individual: will, knowledge, and action, and how the coming together of those parts ultimately form the biorhythm and the character of the individual. But it was in part 7 where we ventured into the 3 worlds above the individual and the 3 worlds below the individual. These worlds have a direct influence on the individual. The individual, however, has his own scale that kind of balances and harmonizes him within a channel created by these worlds above and the worlds below. It was critically identified that although the individual needs to be able to adapt and flow through the environment as the perpetual change of life presents itself, we also established that the individual needs to have a fixed center core. And back we went to the threefold nature of the individual: will, knowledge, and action. When you observe the 2, they become 3. In other words, it is when you observe your will that you go and gain knowledge. It is the coming together of those 2 parts that form a relationship that ultimately becomes the catalyst for action. It is, however, also critical, before I go on, that you remember and hold this clean and clear within your sight, that it is only the will of the individual that is absolute within the structure of reality. So in order for you as a parent to be a better guide and to assist your child to form better relationships, both with you and the world around, we will reach for Rudolf Steiner's guidance. Open quote: "If you seek to understand the center, investigate the circumference, for only there will you find the answer." Close quote. I'm sure I'm not the only one who can feel the profoundness of what Rudolf Steiner says here. The question I am left with, however, is how are you as a parent supposed to investigate the circumference if you have never been showed the structure of reality, the circumference that envelopes all of us on earth, every single human being? So today in part 8, I will do a quick recap as to what the indicators are of the three worlds above, as well as the indicators for the three worlds below. But then I will go into further detail, a greater explanation, so that you can form a better understanding as to how the scale of man, you, the individual, find balance within the channel created by these worlds pressing onto the individual. You are not helpless, you are not hopeless, and you are most certainly not powerless. You are a divine being. It is spiritual evolution that is tugging and pulling at both your child and you to move further inward so that you can discover just exactly how divinely powerful your potentials are. But you need curiosity. You need to be curious about what secrets are hidden within. You need to pursue the thread of truth that rises like a sacred fire deep from within who you are as an individual. Your child who is struggling with identity needs this knowledge. And it is the push-pull relationship between child and parent that allows the opportunity for you to discover the same thing. Identity is everything, and I promise you, who we are in truth as individuals, sacred divine beings with free will. This potent secret has been hidden from us, and by the end of part 8, you will understand why. So let's hit it. You have three worlds above you and three worlds below you. These worlds create a type of channel for you as an individual to get your freak on. Your frequency is determined by your threefold nature. Your will, knowledge, and action defines the frequency, your vibe, and how you cruise in between the worlds above and below. Once again, energy and matter as the first counterparts created within this dual nature allows us to identify the two channels. You have the world of matter, which is the three worlds below. The worlds are divided into the animal world, the mineral world, and the plant world. The three worlds above are indicators of energy. It is the astral world, the ether world, also known as the creative body of the individual, as well as the physical world. This physical, by the way, is not the same as the coming together of parts as in your physical expression, the touch and the feel parts of you within this reality, but more so a bridge that happens within the epigenetics type of area of the individual. So now that we have identified the two channels pressing onto the individual in the form of energy and matter, it would be highly helpful, as an understatement, to be able to have indicators of what exactly is influencing your child. Is it influences from the three worlds below? Or are these influences coming from the three worlds above? In other words, when it comes to the supporting relativities of our will, knowledge, and action, it is good to be able to identify if we have a balanced organization between energy and matter. If you only have the world of matter as a strong influencer, completely ignoring the world of energy, well, you will already be off balance. And the same thing goes flip-flop. If you have too much of the world of energy, it will throw you off balance if you exclude completely the relativities of the world of matter. In other words, to be able to be properly in touch with reality, your relativities need to be ordered and balanced. And there is a push-pull between energy and matter. So although energy was first and then matter, in other words, energy defines matter. You cannot exclude matter from your operations day to day. That just means you're not in touch with reality and with your everyday. You need to be able to have a better understanding and a better eye on what exactly the indicators are of these influencing worlds around us. Once you understand those indicators, you will begin to see how you can operate the push-pull order in the balance of the oneness of all. Seeing that I went into great detail around these indicators in part 7, I am just going to run through this very quickly. The qualities of matter, and then the fractal motions of matter. You will see in the world of energy, you have qualities of energy and fractal motions of energy. So the qualities of matter are, it's without consciousness, your senses can perceive it, it cannot think, feel, or observe. The object of knowledge, in other words, it is the object of knowledge, that which is to be known, and it has a tendency to constantly divide itself into many forms, so it becomes very complicated. But it does have fractal motions. There you have rhythm, mobility, and inertia. The worlds of energy, in other words, the qualities of spirit, are that it is formless. Your physical senses cannot perceive it. Your supersensory abilities must be developed. It is the same in one as it is in all. It is the I, the capital I, in each of us. And it is that which thinks, feels, and observes. Its fractal motions are the being state, thought power, and bliss. So now that we have a better understanding as to how the three worlds above and the three worlds below create a channel for our little freaks to operate in, let's go have a further detailed look at the scale of man. This is basically going to teach us how to find balance and order within this channel that is the perpetual change of life. If we can understand the extremities of what the potentials are within us as individuals, and then how our center core finds balance and order within the oneness of all, well, then we are perfectly aligned to adapt to life. The easiest way to perceive this balance within you as an individual and within your child is to look at it as the scales of Thoth. You, with your threefold nature of will, knowledge, and action, is the fixed center core. But you have these balancing cups on either side of your being. Each of these cups symbolize the extreme degree of your potential. Once again, we return to the first counterparts created, energy and matter. So what would be the extreme degree of energy on an individual's threefold nature? Well, that will be an energy of morality. And an extreme degree of that is when you find these idiots who virtue signal, but who actually have not a cooking clue what they are talking about. Another way of being able to spot the extreme degree of energy active within an individual is that this individual has a sense of arrogance. They kind of lack interest in others, and they tend to go off onto their own fantasy world. You should know that as I put all of this knowledge together, because of what I do and gathering and doing all of the research around sacred physics, an individual such as me, I have to let go completely of the world of matter to a certain degree in order to better embrace the world of spirit, where fantasy actually becomes a very helpful element, a helpful energy. What else is visualization or imagination? These things, an idea, or I have a dream. What is that but a degree of fantasy? The problem comes in when it goes lopsided, when you have too much relativity pushed into the world of energy, pushed into the world of spirit. You will notice it because you begin to lose interest in others around you, in other people around you, and forming relationships with those people. It is too much of the world of matter, and your individuality will begin to push it further away. But it's exactly then that you need to begin to embrace it, because the only way you can find balance from pulling too hard into the world of energy, or like me into the world of spirit, is by then overcompensating, mitigating into the world of matter. How do I do this? Well, I have a 5-month-old pit bull puppy that kind of helps me a lot with this. So I go spend an hour or 2 hours in the park doing training with my dog, running around, rolling on the grass, climbing trees, that type of thing. Being very in touch. I feel touched. I'm so very touched today. Sorry. It's a little woo woo. Yeah, it's not always going to be this serious when it comes to absolute reason. So I thought that was a good spot for you to get an introduction to my wacky sense of humor. But what I was saying is that when it comes to balance within the individual, you have the world of energy pushing onto you and the world of matter. Don't exclude one or the other, but it is a coming together and finding a balance within the extremities of these influences. It is in the world of matter where the extreme degree of matter influences pushes onto the individual, and that expresses as intense passions or a high degree of wanting to force and control outcome. Narcissist, anyone? This is basically where they operate. If you want to name a number of an individual to go and study in order for you to better understand how this manifests, you can go look at Meghan Markle. She is clearly clever enough to be a good chess player. She can, she has a passion. She knows she wants to win. She's got her eye on the ball, and she will go for that. Force and control, no matter what. They become very pedantic, and this is when they have their little shit fits when things don't go their way. But a lot of it is built, or actually not a lot of it, it's an echo chamber. These individuals tend to create this sphere around them that just echoes everything they think is true back to them. And so it is on the return current flow that we go back to Rudolf Steiner's words. Open quote. If you seek to understand the center, investigate the circumference, for only there will you find the answer. Close quote. So, after all of the knowledge gained in part 8, does this quotation not just tickle your curiosity? Because all of a sudden, after this occult, all these scary words I use, so all of this occult knowledge I've just given you in part 8 is everything you need to investigate in order to understand the center core, threefold nature of your child. And if you can understand that, you can not only better form a relationship with your child, but the two of you can begin your push-pull relationship, where yes, you as a parent are the primary guide. But please, in all of this, remember, it is your child who is showing you the spiritual evolution that we are all here to observe and incorporate. I hope that with Rudolf Steiner's help and my wacky sense of humor, that you have a greater insight as to how to assist your child. I'm not done. I'm only at part 8 now. I'm still going to keep going. But luckily for all of us, I tend not to count higher than 12 and fractals of 12. So this is part 8. There will definitely be a part 9. Hang in there. Stay tuned. I really do hope that this knowledge is helpful. It has helped me in my life, and it will continue to help me in my life. And if I can share that gift with any and all who are willing to be curious about your inner potential, well, then my job is done. I am Joan, your freaky philosopher, and you are, and you always will be, my absolute reason.